Okay, welcome along to episode 79 of the Strategy and Conversions podcast with Jamie and Mark. Mark, we are going straight into the podcast from the last one. We kind of finished, we hit stop, and then we just said, look, we've got to record another one straight away. You know, the reason for that is we're kind of looking through, different areas within the last podcast, and we just said, you know what, this whole kind of journaling piece, this whole kind of looking at how far have I come, that progression. We always come a lot further. We come a long way. We come further than what we kind of thought. And stuff like that. And this ties in really nice to everything that I guess we do, within business and stuff like that, and kind of looking at the clarity, confidence, and courage, of different areas of marketing, sales, business, and just personal development. So I think, let's get into this episode of the podcast and touch on that stuff, mate. So I guess from talking with you before, mate, and you telling the story about the lady that loves cake and getting into walking around the block and everything like that, and you mentioned then about Darren Hardy and talking about keeping a journal, and lots of people, I was going to say successful people, and I guess that is the word to kind of talk about, is say people who are at the top of their game and stuff like that. You always hear about them keeping a journal, and I know that's something you're big on.
Yeah, huge. And it's because it just focuses, journaling is a great way of focusing your thoughts. And I have this whole thing that I about living with intention and intending to be successful and intending for excellence. And the whole thing about intending is that I think it was a quote from Jim Rohn or somebody, probably borrowed a quote from someone else, is that if you don't, and I think from quite a few, if you don't if you don't take your hands and control your life will control you, and you'll end up being just thrown from pillar to post with whatever life throws at you. And that's really easy to do. And I've been there, as I'm sure many millions of people have been there as well. And until you actually think, well, what do I really want? What do I really want to decide? Until you actually think that and work how you can get towards it, you're just living haphazardly. And the whole idea of the intentional living is it first starts with what you think your purpose is, or what you think your big sort of, as I call it, the dumb purpose is all about. And that's the start, because once you have that clear in your head, of that purpose that you've got, even if that's kind of off the mark slightly and changes, you've got something to go for. And then all your goals and stuff start to click in around that idea. And then the journal is then keeping a track of your progress. And it's like we were talking about the lady that stopped eating cake and she went doing marathons. The journal that Darren Hardy asked to do was just really, really simple. How far did I walk? When the date I walked, how far did I go? Time I took. I think that was it. The amount of steps or whatever, I don't know. And journaling doesn't have to be complicated. Now, as you go into more journaling for excellence, which I've got, it does become not more complicated, but you spend more time on it to concentrate your thoughts and get your stuff going. But journaling is a great way to see and track your progress. One of the things again, going back to the debt coaching, and again, this is from Darren Hardy because he measures everything. He said, if you're struggling with overspending, he said, just get a little notebook, about the size, even on your phone, and every time you spend something, note it down. Even if it's buying a chocolate bar or whatever, or a candy bar. Sorry for the Americans, candy bar. Just note it down. And every time you maybe grab a coffee, note it down. And then at the end of the day, see how much you spent on stuff, if you like, and you might surprise yourself. You might not spend much, but you might look at that and think, why do I need 3 Starbucks coffees a day? Why am I spending that much money on coffee? And he's saying, because once you've got that going, at the end of the week, you look at that little notebook, and you see what you've been spending, then you understand where your money's going. And it's a simple step, but that's journaling. Journaling, a lot of people get put off by it because they think, oh, it's this massive thing. Yes, and it can be. The more time you want to spend it, the more time you want to live, you're being intentional. but it can start with just really, really, really simple entries in a notebook.
Yeah, I think the difference there, like you said, when you get into your kind of journaling for excellence, I know, we spoke a lot about that, and mate, for anyone listening, that there is a book coming soon.
There is.
From yourself. I mean, I put you on the spot now. You definitely have to do it. But yeah, I think from that part, the way I see it with that journaling is development, isn't it? That's focused on developing yourself and achieving excellence and stuff like that. Whereas the simple form of journaling it is really, it's a bit of reflecting, of course it is, but really it's like tracking. Kind of leaving those kind of breadcrumbs, from our day kind of thing. Like you said, looking at it through a week, and that there, I mean, yeah, you could do that with so many different things, couldn't you? So if you look at overspending, well, you could look at overeating as well. I know if I kept a little diary of every time I started eating something, I mean, yeah, that would be a big read every day. But that kind of thing. If you were looking to lose weight, and you're like, I don't know how I can't lose weight. Well, keep a little tracker of every time you eat something, what is it, and stuff like that. And the same is like, you get a lot of people with like procrastinating, and stuff like that, and working from home and stuff. Is like, okay, let me just check myself. How many times have I moved away from the desk to do something? How many times have I scrolled social media? How much work did I actually do today?
Yeah, exactly. That's huge. That's huge. Yeah. And that and it's interesting. Go back to and just coming on to that point, but going back to the one about spending, is that having that little book about spending and getting to the habit that every time you spend something, you think and take it out, stops you actually buying that coffee or buying that extra sandwich you maybe didn't need or something, and you put your book back and you don't buy it. And so that is a kind of it starts to create a discipline. But going back to the working from home thing, when I started working from home years ago, I know I was horrendous at the amount of time I didn't do stuff. You sit down, you open your laptop, oh, go make a cup of tea, and then it was, oh yeah, I'll just go and do this, I'll go and do that, and you realize that if you actually sit down with a kind of a notebook or a tracking, how many hours did I actually work? And there's a great question that somebody asked me. I think it was one of the I think it could have been Jim Rohn or another coach I had. He said, if you look at the amount of hours you work in a day and how productive you are, and you were your manager, would you sack yourself? And you look and you think, oh, that's a horrible question to answer.
And that is massive. That to me, right, is where a lot of people kind of slip up. And I think a lot of people forget about the pandemic and working from home. I think even before that, I think I noticed it, kind of doing the networking, you speak to different people and stuff like that. And they've left their job because they were under a lot of pressure. They were under a lot of stress and time restraints and all this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And they were just like, I don't want that pressure anymore. But what happens is that you let yourself off with everything.
Yeah.
There's no one watching over you. So, okay, yeah, I can move that back. And the freedom of, working for yourself or having that business is that you can, move things around. If you're self-employed and stuff like that, and one day you want to go out with your family or something like that you could shift your work to the evening. It doesn't matter, But when it starts happening where you're just like, I didn't get anything done today because I was just doing nothing. That's when it starts to add up. Where we talk about compounding. We didn't really go into it in the last episode. We're always talking about compounding in good results, but that compounding in bad results. We talk about, don't we, where we say, look, 90 days time from now, the position that you're in is going to be from your actions.
Yeah, exactly. And it's interesting, and I haven't spoken about him for a long time, but Jeff Olson in the Slight Edge, and he was saying the line of success and the line of kind of failure that starts off with are very, very close together. There's no difference between them. But the more successful you think, it starts compounding this, and it starts to tail upwards, and that's your success line. But by the same token, the more times you procrastinate and not do something, then that line can go down, and all of a sudden you're on that slippery slope. But they don't seem very different for a long, long time. But the compound factor of you doing either good or bad, doing good stuff or not doing good stuff, will suddenly start to open up, and all of a sudden you have this gap, and you suddenly think, wow, hang on a minute, what's going on? I've lost control of what's happening. And that again, but this comes back to, how do you know? Well, you track, journal, as you said, journaling, any journaling has an element of tracking. but it all starts with tracking, and that simple little how many steps did I walk today, or how much have I spent today, what have I bought today I didn't need to, anything like that. It's just track those things, because even the tracking makes you motivate you to think, okay, maybe I need to walk, maybe this time press ups, for example. I'm terrible at press ups and useless at it, but I start off sometimes when I go off the wagon, I don't do anything. I said, right, I'm going to do a press up a day, and each day I'm going to add another press up to it, and so then it comes two, and then it's four, and eight, and everything, and sometimes it gets to the point that, ooh, I'm not sure if I can do 24 press ups or something. So it just eases back a bit, but you don't stop doing them because you're tracking it. And when I stop track, because I'm terrible, if I stop tracking it, I don't do it, and that's why I'm partly really, really keen on journaling, because I know it makes me do things. And I think it's that's that personal accountability. I know we do a lot of, in our coaching stuff, accountability, that personal accountability of okay, so I'm not going to show the camera, but my workplace here is a complete and utter mess, because I don't spend any time focusing on it. But I know that when it's a mess, you can't find things, it distracts in your head, and it's so much better if it was tinier. So I'm just making a mental note now that I'm going to start keeping a book of how many, how can I tidy this up? How can I do that? Because it just makes you do things.
Oh, mate, we'll come back onto that in a minute. But that thing there, like you said, like I really like the thing with the push-ups.
Yeah.
Right? Because like you said that, I mean, the thing with the push-ups, right, is that you could be going strong for a little while, right? Like, just say, for instance, you're doing 3 sets of 10, right? That's what you're doing. You're just like, okay, I'm doing that comfortably. I don't really have any intentions to do any more and stuff like that, but I'm happy at this, maintaining this kind of level. You say you let yourself slide for a little bit. I didn't do any today. I'll do it tomorrow. And all of a sudden, then it becomes 3 times a week you're doing it.
Yeah.
And then it becomes a little bit harder. So then it turns into you're just going to try it once a week or something like that.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And then when you finally get to the point where you give yourself a kick up the ass and go, look, I need to get back into it, you're doing 4 or 5 and you're struggling, because that compound effect, because of that lack of momentum, that is compounded in that negative way where you're just like, wow. But when you look at that the other way, then when you get back into it, getting back up to that 3 sets of 10, you do that in a short period of time, right? You don't do it in like a day or two, but in a week or two, you've gone from I've really been struggling to do 3 or 4, so now I'm doing 3 sets of 10 and everything's fine. And that there, when we come back to tracking your wins, I feel like we don't do enough of this. Just everyone in general just tracking their wins. I got like the other year I created that momentum planner, like a daily planner, and in the corner I've put record your wins here.
Yeah,
you start off with the goals you're working towards and stuff like that, and then you put your wins in there, and then at the end of the day you ask yourself if you've moved forward, right? And the point of recording those wins is that a win, it could be small. It looks as if like it's insignificant to the bigger picture or anything like that. You could be struggling, but actually you've made a few wins. And it's actually looking at it, at the end of the day or even at the end of the week and going, I had all these wins.
Yeah, and I think that's so. Yeah, it is. You're right. We look at we tend to beat ourselves up, don't we? We're always looking at stuff we didn't do. Oh, I didn't do that. I meant to do this today, didn't do. Oh, I never. And you think, hang on a minute, what did you do then? What were the things that you, even if they, sometimes not planned. You go through. You might have the whole rocks and pebbles things I talk about and the stuff. Yeah, I've done those. And then you think, well, actually, I did something else I didn't even think I was going to do, but I got that done today as well, and I got this done. And all of a sudden, your wins can be, once you see that, you can start feeling a bit proud of what you've done rather than beating yourself up, saying, yeah, but I didn't do that one thing. And you think, yeah, but that doesn't matter. Tomorrow's there. It can be done. You can get that done tomorrow, but make sure you do get that thing done tomorrow. But again, on the journaling, and I've seen the journal, the small journal thing you do. And on the Journaling for Excellence, I spend a big time on looking at recording you celebrate your successes. What didn't I, or what you didn't achieve, and why, and then How can I make sure I do that tomorrow? So it's kind of the review is as important as well. And it's like with the tracking thing. If this lady walked around the block and she hadn't quite done it, or maybe took a little bit longer than normal, just ask yourself the question: well, what was that? What? Oh, I stopped to chat to so and so. Fine, yeah, not a problem. As long as you know the reasons. You're not going to do that every day, but the whole point about it is that you understand what's happening rather than going back to the press ups. I understand what's happening rather than, a couple of weeks later think I haven't done any press ups at all. So, like you said, you start doing one, you think, oh, sure, because I'm not the strongest of person when it comes to upper body. So, I've got to do them. I've got to maintain them for me to be able to do a little bit more. And I just think that tracking is so essential, because if we see we're slipping, we don't need to slip for more than a day to think, hey, right, that's a slippery slide. Let's not go down there. Let's make sure I just keep going.
So what was really interesting there, mate, is that as you kind of touched on, that kind of planner that I put together was just something where I was like, okay, I just want to keep track of what I'm doing. Right. It's one of those things which, it's good. It does the job. But as you just said there, it's like there are levels and things. So with you, when it comes to journaling and writing this book, all of a sudden there's X amount of pages on that kind of evaluating, reviewing, developing, and actually asking myself, how do I get better? Stuff like that. There's levels to it. There's levels within everything. And I think sometimes that's really kind of missed. Like, people look at marketing, okay, that person does marketing, that person does marketing, they're the same. But actually, one's got 10 years and worked all different kinds of levels, and one hasn't. And then you get the same thing within sales. Sales trainer, you might get a manager. You might get it in all kinds of industries and stuff like that. You have that knowledge. And you said before about, peeling back an onion or something like that, getting to levels of why. Well, it's the same thing with different levels of, sophistication, where things aren't working properly or things aren't going to plan. What needs to change and stuff like that. And it's that story, isn't it, of the guy that repairs the boat and he knows where to hit the hammer.
Yeah,
they're just right. Like, why did it cost so much? He's like, well, you're paying for the knowledge, not the hammer.
Yeah, exactly.
And stuff like that. And I think sometimes we overlook those kind of levels, and sometimes we think, okay, just because what we're thinking we know how to do something doesn't mean that there's a higher level that someone can show us to do.
Yeah, exactly. And this brings us on to the point we were talking about earlier, wasn't it? About one of the questions that we both ask is for people, especially when it comes to productivity, is you say, okay, you might ask them, so what challenges have you got this month? And they look at you blank and say, well, not really. So it's okay. What activity are you spending too much time on? And they look at you again, a bit blank, maybe. And again, this whole thing with time recording is that, okay, if you're doing something that you would expect to take, I don't know, let's just say 2 hours, okay, and you're spending 3, what's going wrong? There's something that's making you spend 3 when normally you would expect to spend 2. What's going wrong? There's a challenge there. You've ignored it for some time, but until you start to record it, you suddenly think, yeah, there's a challenge. What is going on that's making me take 3? And it could be that, I don't know, it could be all sorts of reasons, but then once you start thinking about it, you think, I know what it is. I need to stop doing this, or I need to change this, or this is. It could be something as simple as that. You working from home, people work on laptops. Seat positions aren't right, and you might be working around and think, "Oh, I've got a bit of ache," and you get up and go and walk around because your back's aching because you're slouching forward. There are, like you said, so many different things. Now, hang on a minute, change my posture, put the laptop on a couple of books or something, so it's a bit higher level, and all of a sudden I'm typing more comfortably, I'm doing this more comfortably, I'm doing that more comfortably, which means that I can do more and I can get it done in a quicker time. There are so many reasons for us, for so many challenges that we have that we don't realize until we start to think about it. But again, if you don't track things, you don't think about it, or you don't. Yeah, and often you don't see a result and think, oh, hang on, that needs thinking about. What's going on here? And that's why journaling, tracking is essential. If you're intentional about creating success in your life, or however that success looks for you, or intentional to go up a level of excellence from you're working at your skill set, for example, somebody who's I don't know, so works in HR, for example, maybe, and they always have this one problem they can never get, they never have a solution for. And it's probably because they haven't taken the time to do a training course, or haven't taken the time to really thoroughly research it on the internet, or ask somebody. And actually, that instead of them procrastinate, I'm not sure what to do, they suddenly say, I know what to do in this case. They've just gone on a bit, and it's only by tracking that they come up with that problem all the time that they realize that that just there is the lack of skill that they can easily put in place and sort out.
You kind of see that sometimes, don't you, where, like you said, there may be a problem for a little while, and all of a sudden it's just that's a problem, so no one goes near it. Or when you try to fix it, it's just it's always been that way. We don't need to fix that.
Yeah.
We can't fix it. We tried before without looking at a different solution. But man, what makes it very interesting for me is like when you said in that thing, it's like, what stops you from doing something, and it's weird how, like, with a lot of things come down to practice, don't they? Like you do things with practice and stuff like that. We talk a lot about clarity, confidence, and courage, and I see people do this within the likes of their marketing, right? Is that whenever we deal with a member or client, they come into Momentum Builder or something like that, we will look at some sort of content plan.
Yeah.
So it's like, look, you have to put yourself out there. Obviously, you have to showcase what you can do and everything like that for people to help you. And you'll get the people, I haven't got time to do that, or I haven't done that because I don't know what to write. And it's like, that's not the case. You've shied away from it for a different reason. It's like you're either trying to come up with the perfect kind of post that you think is going to go viral and people are going to be liking and engaging and everything like that, or you've already spent time in your own head figuring out all the things that could go wrong. What people could say and stuff like that if you put this post out.
Yeah, and that's, we were talking, I know, earlier on about networking, and especially when you are kind of a startup business, that going network for the first time or first few times can be really, really daunting. Writing about your products for the first time, writing about yourself, even trying to sell yourself, can be really, really, really daunting. And so you shy away from it. The trouble is, what happens is, if you shy away from it, nobody knows you. If you don't go networking, nobody knows you, your business, can't build a relationship. So you're always calling somebody who's never met you or is a bit cold. Again, going back to this writing thing, if you don't write about you, how does somebody know the experience you've got and the journey that you've taken? So, which could be very, very similar to the journey they're taking now. And also they'll resonate with you. Somebody think, you've gone through, you've gone through these mistakes. You've come out the other end. I need to speak to you because you're the person I need. But until you do that, and it doesn't, and I think this is the whole thing, and like we said, is that I remember the whole thing about videos back in the past. I can't make these videos because doesn't look professional. No one really cares. As long as you get the message across, it doesn't have to look professional in some cases. And it's the whole point, isn't it? Is that put something out there. It may not be perfect, but if the message is there and it gets people to understand it, it doesn't have to be perfect, because people are seeing that you're authentic and genuine. That's our word, isn't it?
I mean, that thing with genuine is I think you get so many people that example with video is awesome, because people will look at the gurus and stuff like that, right? And they will be like, I have to do videos like that. And it's like, but listen, you're not in that position. You don't have a videographer following you around. You're not paying them to do all this kind of stuff, or you don't have a $5,000 studio set up just for making video and stuff like that. Right? So you in the position that you're in and the audience that you have, recording it on the phone is absolutely fine. Like no one cares. And I think sometimes, like, again, I think we mentioned this in the last podcast, wasn't it? Is that you look at people at the top and it's like the stuff that they're doing isn't the stuff that you need to be doing at your level.
No,
You know? And
that's right.
if you take that kind of guru, right, I'm trying to think of one off the top of my head, but I can't think of one, right? But I'm just trying to think, like, if you look at their videos now, scroll back through their thousands of videos or whatever it is to their first ones, and you will see that they're just done on the likes of a phone or something like that, and they're
Yeah,
stumbling
yeah,
with their words and everything like that. And it made me think, actually, I actually wrote this down because I was thinking to myself when you were talking there about how people like people hate public speaking, don't they?
yeah,
Like, it's like that's like the number one fear sort of thing. And mentioned in a couple of podcasts back that obviously we met at networking,
yeah,
and you see it over the years, don't you? And I'm sure, I'm sure, of course, it was this way. Whenever I had to stand up and speak in front of people, yeah, I was nervous and stuff like that, and stuff. And I probably would be today. We probably still have some sort of nerves, but you're confident in what you do to do that. But the point I was trying to get to there is that we would meet people. People would come along, and they'd be like, "Oh, I couldn't stand up and do a presentation, in front of it." And 2 months down the line, they're doing it, and everything's fine. And it's like it's just getting relaxed into that environment. It's becoming more confident, but just having that clarity, having an understanding, and then to build that courage to go, okay, I can do this.
yeah, yeah. And I know we were talking about this example beforehand, but I think it's a really good point to make out. So, so especially talking about public speaking, confidence. Um, to have the confidence to do something, you've got to be you've got to be clear in your message. You've got to have that clarity. And I was talking about a school kid that I coached a while back on speaking. He had to speak to his classmates. I don't know, 30 people, I guess, and his teacher. And I think it was an essay or some kind of assignment they had to create. And he was quite confident. Well, he was reasonably confident when he was talking one to one, but he was broken if it came to actually having to speak in front of people, and he was lacking in his mum, and his mum was aware of it, and she asked me if I could help him out with anything. And I read his stuff that he was going to read out, and I thought it looks pretty good. That's not too bad at all. But he said he couldn't speak up at all, and it was just simply to say to him, okay, what is it you're worried about? And he was worried about being looked at by everybody, and he was the center of attention. He hated being the center of attention, and that he would stumble over his words. So we came up with this idea, just saying, okay, what's the summary of what he's talking about? And it came to like four points, I think it was. And I said, so start talking to me and just give me the summary. So just in one paragraph, what you're going to talk about today. Just like, I'm going to talk about dum, 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 bang. And he did that. And I said, right, write that to the top of your little cue cards or whatever. And then the other thing about people looking at him, I asked him about his classroom where things were, and there was an exit sign, which is towards the top of the classroom. So just look at the exit sign. People won't know you're not looking at them. They'll still see your eyes go forward, but look at the exit sign and give your talk to the exit sign. No one's, everyone will be looking at you, but you're not going to be looking at them. And he after a couple of just run-throughs with me, if you like, and again, I know that was a one-to-one, but he doesn't have the courage to actually go and do it, and he was fine with it. And it was simply those two things address it so easily addressed, and that's what happens to so many people when they do that for the first time. I remember the whole getting up in a network meeting saying, telling people what you do and how you do it. It's kind of because not having that, just right, this is what I do, 3 steps, dum dum dum, and this is what I do and how I do it. It's just that organization which gives that clarity. So when you have the clarity, gives you confidence in what you're going to talk about, and then you've got the courage to just stand up and say, put your hand up and start talking.
That's it, and I guess that kind of that practice takes over, repetition.
Yeah.
By the time you do that. But I do think that there is a big part I said about marketing and sales and that, and any kind of speaking, but anything you do where you're trying to tell people what you do and why they should work with you or anything like that. But look, you have to be in control. And like for you to be in control, you have to have clarity over what it is that you do and how you help people. You have to have the courage that you can actually do that. Like you can't
Yes.
get called out on it, because how many times, someone will stand up and, they might talk a good game, or you'll see some sort of ad or something like that. Someone talks a good game, but you can ask a question and, they've got no answer for it. So you have to be confident in what it is that you're offering can actually do what it is. It's
Yeah.
not just
Yeah.
someone, I'll run your social media and make you lots of money. Okay, how will you do that? I don't know.
Yeah.
It's like
Exactly.
all of a
Yeah.
sudden you don't have that confidence in what you're doing. It's just,
Yeah.
oh, I might do a bit of this and a bit of that. Well, how will that make me money? Well, it might happen. This like all of a sudden it's gone. So then you don't have that courage then. So when you start trying to then talk about it, you're just like, actually, I'm not confident in what it is that I offer.
Well,
And it's because you don't have that clarity then. So it all kind of starts back from that. To me, that your offer is like a massive thing. Lots of people get hung up on brand, and they get hung up on, okay, yeah, I've got to get my target audience and stuff like that. And that's important, obviously, your target audience. But what the thing that you're actually offering, that there is the thing. You can guess your target audience and start talking to them about what you offer. But without having that clarity over what exactly that offer is, you're going to fall down, because you need to be offering that bridge. You need to be offering them that solution, to get whatever it is that they're trying to achieve. So that needs to be nailed down.
Yeah.
Once that's nailed down, you are confident in that. No one can call you out on it. You don't have to go around telling everyone you're the best. You don't have to go around telling everyone you're the biggest or anything like that. But you just have to be, you could be quiet and confident. Just be like,
Yeah.
I know I can do this because X, Y, Z. And then that gives you that confidence then to go and tell the world, whether it be on video, stage, social media, whatever it is, you're happy to do it because no one can call you out on what it is that you're doing.
Yeah, and I think we seen that so many times in different networks for meetings where we've seen all sorts of people, accountants, solicitors, all sorts of different VAs, loads of different people. Some have been so confident in what they do, and they just tell you their process, and it's just, and you sort of like, okay, yeah, could be a good person to talk to, and then you'll get someone who is just really stumbling over every word, and they say they give the impression that they're not going to be, they don't fill you with confidence, shall we say. And often it's a real shame, because they know what they're doing. They really know their craft. But unfortunately, in business, we all have to have this, the ability to market and market ourselves, and that's through writing, or like you say, the getting up on stage, or even on video, or podcasts and that kind of thing. And so it's essential that we get, you might be confident in subject matter, but it's the clarity of putting it across. And again, it's understanding what people want to hear. So you might be confident as an accountant. You might say, yeah, well, I know I can do all this, I can do this, and you think, yeah, but everyone's heard that before. So how can you put a different slant on it, I guess? Well, this is what I do particularly. I do this. Now, that's what you do. So you could be completely, you have the clarity. This is how you work. So then you can go you have the courage to go and tell someone, well, this is how I do. Yes, I'm an accountant. I do this. I concentrate on looking at these things, and it could be the measurements, it could be the business advice, or it could be just bookkeeping. It doesn't matter, because you just be confident about what you're delivering and how you do it. And people, if they need a bookkeeper, will think, right, someone I need. If they don't need a bookkeeper, then fine. That's not your target audience. But then maybe they say, yeah, well, I do need some business advice, or I do need to think about how I can track my numbers, or how I can do this. And so all of a sudden, that talk will resonate with those people. But so often they try and, this comes back to it, isn't it? When people try and tell you they do everything, you think, well, right, okay, you really don't. So let's think about what you're good at, and concentrating on that kind of, not necessarily a niche. It's a product niche, maybe, but not a niche for them. But it's the expertise they have, and I think that's where a lot of people go wrong. And again, I can bring this back, because I do every time. I bring this back to journaling. One of the things I look at in the journaling is that I think it's on the monthly review, I think I do for people looking for excellence, is what things have they found new that they didn't realize they had the potential to do. So, for example, it could be a hobby. It doesn't have to be work related, but it's something they started doing. They think, "Oh, I'm quite good at this," and they never really realized they were good at it. But it's because they start thinking about what they were doing during the wins they've had, and all of a sudden they said, oh, "I started doing this, and I found that I quite enjoy it, and I've been able to do this quite successfully." And it's a potential. What's the potential in that? Is there potential for another product to come out of that? Is there potential for them to be writing about it? I don't know, but that's one of the questions I ask: is uncovering your potential.
This is massive, isn't it? Because like you said, that thing there is like, okay, am I good at this? Is this a product that evolves out of it? What we see a lot happen is that there will be someone in a certain field, and their business isn't a success. It doesn't work. So then they move to coaching or teaching, right? And I'm a coach now and stuff. I'm teaching what didn't work for me. You know that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And it's like that. As maybe that's a little bit harsh to say, because look, you can be really good at what you do, but if you can't market it, then no one knows about it. No one's going to buy from you. And it does come back to that clarity, confidence, and courage. Because what the part I was going to get onto is that courage part. Is that when you have that clarity of everything that you offer, right? That you know that that's solid. You have that confidence then to talk about it, articulate it with a person, explain to them how you can help them. But most importantly, that gives you the courage then to ask for the business.
Yes.
You can actually tell that person, I can help you. Do you want to go ahead?
Yeah.
It is that you're asking that question then where you're asking for the business, or just saying, giving them that option of saying, I can help you with this if you want to, is there something you want? Like that thing, people say, oh, that sells and stuff like that. It isn't. It's just having that courage in yourself and that confidence to go, I know what I have can help you. So come in and get it.
Yeah. Sales is a conversation, or a series of conversations, and one of the conversations has to be, can we work together? How can I help? But it's just a conversation. It's not like a, will you buy this second-hand car?
Yeah.
As everyone thinks of that, don't they?
Yeah, and that is a great point, right? Now you think with us, right? I mean, clarity, confidence, and courage. We've got that with what we do within, the coaching kind of realm in the marketing, all that kind of stuff. We develop Momentum Builder. To me, I'm quite confident in where I say, look, Momentum Builder is up there with one of the top products in the world. I don't like fight me on it, right? Because we looked at everything. We're going, okay, look, how do you get that accountability? How do you get that actual input in planning? How do you know what to look at, what targets? How do you get someone within your business then to, look at the marketing steps which are needed and put systems in place and stuff like that? How do you build momentum moving forward, right? It's got everything there, right? Yeah, look, sales pitch, go to it. We'll put a link below, everything like that. But really, look, we work with you to, I was going to say achieve excellence. That's really what we look at doing there. It's just helping you create that business that you want. Now, whenever I talk about it, if I was to talk to an individual or anything like that, I can answer any questions on it. Right? I'm quite happy to say, look, this will work for you and stuff like that, and not saying it in a way where it is for everyone, but it will work as long as you're ambitious and you're serious about growing your business. Right? Yeah. It will help you move forward. Give yourself 3 months. You're going to be you're going to have a better next 3 months than the previous 3 months. Even if your last 3 months were really good. But let's flip that. Let's imagine that all of a sudden, we came out with, we're coaching on cryptocurrencies, right? And we've never had this conversation. I don't know. You may be really good at cryptos and stuff like that, but I guess you're like me and have no idea, right? Yeah. Imagine we come out with a coaching thing on cryptos, and we start telling people, come into our group because we're going to teach you all about cryptocurrency and stuff like that. Well, as soon as the first question is asked, we've got no idea.
No idea. It's right.
So it's like, we're not then going to be confident to say, what we've got can help you here, because we've dropped at the first hurdle because we don't have that clarity over the product or what it is that we're offering. We don't have any knowledge or expertise in it, so we're definitely not going to have the courage to say to someone, come and spend some money with me because I can help you make more money from crypto, because we don't even know how to do it. And that's the big thing there, is that once you get really set in exactly what it is that you're offering, all the ins and outs, the different steps within the process, you're then confident just to you have that courage to say, look, come and work with us.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that is so true. And as I said, everyone has everyone has a speciality in business, and some people might say, well, this is a case in point, and they say, well, I'm a VA. How do I stand out from the rest? Well, it's how you approach working with the customers, your clients. What are you might be a VA, but you have a particular skill set from maybe things you did in the past. You could be brilliant at managing the project, taking on the project with somebody and working it all the way through, communicating that. That's your skill within the VA. The VA is very, very broad, but within that, you're a great project manager. So I'm a great project manager. Start talking about project management, because that's where that skill is. Another VA could be just they're very organized. Yeah, highly organized. I could do one of those. Highly organized person. Brilliant. People love it because they just think, I'm in a mess. I need organization. Their speciality is that organization, finding systems, admin organization, all the kind of stuff that many, many people find incredibly difficult or boring. I'm not sure it's the right word, but some people thrive in it. Some people love it. You look at the way librarians are. They love their job. For many people, they couldn't even contemplate doing all the indexing and everything else. But if you get someone who loves it, then they need to be always talking about it, because somebody will say, I really need that level of organization in my business. And that's the person they go for. But if you try and be a jack of all trades, like you say, we'll do marketing, coaching, and crypto. Yeah,
I'm sure that there's probably companies out there like that, right? There's probably people out there that you probably go onto their website and you're probably like, we'll help you invest in crypto as well. It'd definitely be about today. I can tell you, but it is interesting, mate. That thing there with like I'm involved in a few different businesses where I look after the kind of marketing, sales, and growth, and And like for me, when we look at anything, it could be really something really small. I would create a new kind of partnership with a company and stuff like that. And I've mapped it out, right? So I've mapped out the whole kind of strategy. It's got a flow chart, all this kind of stuff, right? And the partners in there would just be like, I don't know how you do all that sort of stuff. Like, it's above my head. I couldn't fathom even where to begin, or it would bore me, to do that sort of stuff. For me, it's like I love it because it's not a chore. It comes easy to me.
Yeah,
it's that someone gives me a start and finish, and the steps in between, I can plan out. Get into that next step, get into the step after. And it's just having that again. Like, it comes back to that clarity, confidence, and courage in what you do, and the level of practice, and coming back to those kind of levels of sophistication that we mentioned about, that then what you're actually doing, that no one can actually kind of break that down. But that's all it is that you own, you control your little piece of the sector. I'm not out there kind of worldwide going, look at me, I'm the best or anything like that. You should come to me and everything like that. But I know that anyone who does come to us, they're going to get the great service, but they're going to get a serious service that is going to be like, this is what you need to do. It's not a magic wand. It's not going, come in here and we'll show you the two buttons to press on the keyboard to make 5 million. But what we will say is, look, if you're trying to make a business of 5 million from where you are right now in the next 3 years, okay, look, this is the next. This is the next year. This is the next quarter. This is what you need to focus on right now.
Yeah, and I think we've talked about this on several podcasts, and it comes back to me is really, you've got to be confident in the value you can offer others. What value can you give the marketplace? Going back to the VAs, the value I can give you is that I'm an excellent project manager. Well, the value I can give you is I can take all your emails, systems, and I can file them for you so everything is organized. And everyone has a value they can offer, a really good value, more than one in some cases maybe. But the point is that your value is just marketing strategy and being able to really hone down on that. And that's what you talk about. That's what you enjoy doing. And my value is, mindset and getting people into the right frame of mind for different levels of business and that kind of stuff. And it's when you're clear on the value you give, that's even more it gives you even more confidence, because like you said, you can do it. If you've got someone in a startup, you can help them. If you have someone who's turning over 5 million now, you can still help them, because the processes are very similar. I'm not saying they're exactly the same, but they're very similar. And again, going back to the thing I do, startup businesses require require a type of mindset. As we grow and grow, the mindset's got to change. Things have to change. So I know I can work with people. In fact, you have,
this is the big thing, though, isn't it, with those levels, like you said, people moving through that. So the startup mentality, the micro business, someone taking on their first member of staff, someone taking on that fifth member of staff, it's different levels, right? And like you said, within like the kind of marketing side, that the process is similar. Yeah, it's pretty much the same. It doesn't matter what level we're at, someone starting up or someone, looking to go to multi, tens of millions and stuff like that. The process doesn't change much, but the different layers within there, in the steps of the process, that's when it changes. Because when we're moving through different steps, we need different layers within there to not just help with the growth, but actually to safeguard ourselves, to reduce risk and everything like that, to make sure everything's working, so that when we do invest, we know it's going to work, rather than just chucking money at stuff. But what I would say, man, I mean, you kind of touched on it, is that kind of confidence piece in how you get a result for someone. You don't always have to look at the big picture, right? So it's like when you say about marketing strategy, with me, I look at the big picture and stuff like that. You don't have to have that skill to help someone with their marketing, right? You might be focused on social media, you might be focused on video or something like that. That's the real meaning of niche. You get the whole kind of, or niche for our American friends.
Yeah, for American friends,
But it's like that niche or niche like that. It's become so diluted over the years. You have to be, you have to narrow it down to the person's breed of dog that they have. Otherwise, it won't work. You need to have your own niche where you control that. But really, the niche or the niche is just that. It is breaking it down and going, okay, I'm within this kind of part. So what happens then is you focus on your niche or your niche, and then as you grow, you add different parts into it, and then you grow and grow until you get to that level where you can oversee all of it. But people kind of look at it the other way, where it's like, okay, you have to go really narrow on one thing and you stay there forever. And it's like, you don't have to niche the product or the service, and then you can grow and add around the business and stuff like that. But the point I wanted to make there is like, if you're kind of thinking, oh, I only do this, or like with the VA, okay, I'm only good at doing this one thing, that's fine. That's your confidence piece, because you know that you own that. Whatever it is that you can help someone, whatever question they have, you can tell them the answer.
Exactly. Yeah, and I think that's so because people are looking for, and I think that's the thing, isn't it? It's understanding what people are looking for. So when you going back to VAs who have such a valuable role to play in companies, but when they market themselves as a VA, it gets lost. It's just too big. People can't comprehend it, But when you say I can concentrate on organizing your business and office in such a way that you'll be on top of the game the whole time. You'll come in and everything will be laid out exactly as you want it. Bang. Or someone says, I need that. That's what I need. And then say, what's my VA service? Oh, you're a VA. Okay. And it's that kind of.
And that's the thing. Like this is where like the niche kind of thing does help, right?
Yeah.
You imagine you get the VA, and the VA is they're a specialist in Excel files, right? If you're looking for someone who deals with Excel files, you're going to automatically be drawn to that one who deals with the Excel files. Of course, you are. That's where the niche works, right? But if you can say, I'm a VA that does X, Y, Z and specialize in Excel, you can still do all of it and still have your specialty.
Yeah. And that's the thing, is as you say, the niche or niche is a particular product or service, not you. You can be going out into that big wide world, but as you say, these are my specialisms, and it could be more than one, but not too many. But you say, look, Excel spreadsheets, organization, project management. Those are my absolute passions and skills.
I mean, you think about it this way as well, right? You imagine you take. I was going to say, looking at someone who's a marketing agency or something like that, but just take us with Momentum Builder, right? Now, if someone comes in and they are in the trades, they're in construction, right? And someone comes in and they're in finance, and someone comes in and maybe they're in photography or something like that, right? 95%, 97% doesn't change. Like the marketing steps, the targets, all the stuff we put in place. But what changes there is where you get to become a specialist is if you have knowledge of that industry. That you can use some of the jargon, You know, you can talk about some of the better tools or something like that that are better for that industry. That's where you have your extra kind of bit. That's a specialism, because that 97% of marketing, you still need that. You can't turn around and say, oh yeah, I'm a marketer for photographers because I know a bit about the industry and I've had a business for a little while that is semi-successful. You know, that you're niching into that, calling yourself a specialist is not really the same as saying I'm a marketer that specializes in.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, very much. Yeah. So I think and again, it's going back to, we were talking about the confidence, clarity, and courage. Is that once you start to really, you can hone your message down to say, yes, like I am the VA who specializes in this, and then you're really confident about. Well, what, someone says, well, what would you do in this particular case? Oh, well, I can help you with that, because probably the best thing to do is dum 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 dum. Okay, you know what you're talking about, right? Yeah, writing. I know I'm a copywriter as well, which is, and a lot of people saying, oh, writing's not used anymore because people go and buy video, but it is. A lot of people read the written word, and being clear on the written word about what you do and what you specialize in is really good as well, because you can say, yes, I'm an accountant and I do this, or I specialize in this part of accountancy. And it could be sort of someone who specializes in company tax law, for example. I don't know. And they're accountant. We can do all this. We do all this regular, but company tax law is something that we're really, really hot on. We know all about it. We specialize in. We can advise you the best way to move forward. People say, right, I think I'm paying too much tax, and maybe it's probably something to do. I don't need an accountant, but I really need someone who knows what they're doing about tax law. And having that niche about all that specialism, somebody comes across to you and asks you, and all of a sudden they think, actually, my accountant isn't that brilliant. Perhaps I'll come back to this company for an accountant. So all of a sudden, by giving a service and value in one thing can lead to that, the whole stuff coming across. So, concentrating on the value, I think, is essential in any kind of business. Is what value can you bring to the market that is not necessarily unique, because there's probably other people, but there's what value do you bring in your special way that others can't do? And often, and I know this is an old adage, isn't it? People buy from people. Well, that's the case, isn't it? I can be talking about coaching as someone else can be, but somebody comes to me because I don't know, do they like someone who wears glasses or something? I don't know. But it's some people react in different ways. You're not going to have everybody's your customer because you couldn't handle it. So
that's what cracks me up. I think that's what I mean when I say like the kind of niche in a niche area will get so diluted, is that it will, if my customer doesn't have glasses, then they're not my customer. And it's like, fair enough if you're dealing with something with vision, but if you're not, it doesn't matter. You can niche a certain piece of marketing that appeals to people that wear glasses, but you don't need to niche down where you only deal with people who wear glasses, right? But I think we'll wrap things up on this.
Okay.
It's been awesome. I think some of the nuggets within here, I think even for myself, like I wrote a few things down. I'm like, we don't talk about this stuff enough. Like there's good stuff in there. But what I would say, like, anyone who's listening, I keep saying anyone who's listening, we keep saying that there's only one person that's listening at a time. So you that is listening, but if you are looking for that extra kind of boost, that helping hand in clarity and confidence and courage, come and check out the Momentum Builder. You work with myself and Mark. Whether it's monthly, it's over 3 months, even it could be over 3 years. The whole kind of point is we're on your side. We're helping you to keep moving forward to that next level. That momentum, that slight edge, that compound effect, whatever it is that you want to achieve, we're going to help you get there. So go and check it out. Mark, if there's anything you want to add to summarize or anything like that to this episode?
Oh, we've talked about so much different stuff. I think really, again, that confidence, clarity, and courage, that the 3 C's are so essential, and one feeds the other. Confidence, get clarity, get confidence, and then you've got the courage to speak up. That's what it's all about, isn't it? You've got to speak up and show you're there.
And when you do that, that momentum just builds a lot quicker, right?
Yeah, it does.
That's what we want to do. Mark, always been a pleasure. Catch up with you next week.
Yeah. Okay. Cheers, everybody.